Hi, everybody. It's Mark Rushton of markrushton.com. It is Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. And this is going to be both a video and a podcast. So you can watch this video on YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, LBRY.TV, or you can listen to it as a podcast on whatever system you listen to podcasts. This is going to be Ambient Rushton podcast number 177. My rotating top 10 playlist. What is my rotating top 10 playlist? Well, it's something that I've been developing over a period of time at Spotify. So if you want to listen to the entire playlists outside of the podcast is only going to play little sections of each track. I'm going to talk about it here. And but the playlist will have the tracks out there, and you can explore further if you want to explore what I'm playing, the artist, the other tracks, do a deeper dive, right? You can do that. So, and links will be in the description. Let's get started. So yeah, I've been developing this playlist on Spotify called Ambient Rushton Podcast Rotating Top 10. As you can see, there are no followers. And currently it is 10 songs and 26 minutes. Although when I release new stuff under particular artists, somebody will drop out, right? It's not a musical chairs. It's just sort of when a new one comes in, the old one for the artist disappears. And that way, if you want to find out what I have been, and so this is all music that I either make myself or collaborate with others, or I have fake bands, whatever. So, what is it? Yeah, what does it say here? It's the Ambient Rushton Podcast Top 10 playlist, featuring recent releases by musician Mark Rushton in his name and various associated band names and collaborations. And anyway, and then it goes off here because technology. There we go. Look for the Ambient Rushton podcast here on Spotify or wherever your RSS feed grabs from. Right. I use Podkicker Pro on my Android thingy here, and it does. I pay for the Pro, so I don't have ads. I don't know how much the Pro version was. $2.99, $4.99. Programmers have got to get paid, and it's a little wonky, but I'm used to the wonky, right? So, all right, let's get into the music here. So I have released a new single recently called Satellites in Orbit. I've been releasing singles lately. Eventually they will be compiled into an album, but for various reasons, I'm releasing single tracks every few weeks. So if you follow me on Spotify, you can be notified of that. It'll be in your release radar playlist or whatever. Or you can also follow the Ambient Rushton Podcast Rotating Top 10 playlist. Link is in the description. So, first track here, Satellites in Orbit. Let's listen to it, and I'll talk about it afterwards. We'll listen to a little bit of it here. Okay, that's the first half of Satellites in Orbit by me, Mark Rushton, a new single release out there. So yeah, just again that sort of spacey music and a little bit of That's kind of where I am with that. Next up is The Desperation of Drowning Men and the track called Rain Hum. Now, Desperation of Drowning Men is typically, but not always, but typically a sort of a rain and ambient hybrid. So you get the ambient instrumental with a bit of rain sound in there. So this is a portion of Rain Hum. That's Rain Hum by The Desperation of Drowning Men, a new single. And yeah, that's sort of a rain ambient hybrid. So you get those sort of like suspended sounds out there mixed in with various rain drips and everything like that. Yeah, it is what it is, right? I kind of like that stuff. Next up, a new track by Rushton, which is my kind of beat-oriented side of me. And this is a track called Liberty Flight. That is Liberty Flight by Rushton. One of those sort of down tempo-ish sort of tracks with the various different types of electronica in the background. Usually those are pretty quickly made pieces, typically. Not always, but typically. Sometimes I'm like making some sort of sketch it out. I like it to a certain point, and then I just release it. And I release it under that name. Maybe it's a real slow track. I might release it under, as you can see down here, Cannabis Unanimous, which is more of a sort of the druggy version, right? It's slowed down to like chopped and screwed or whatever. But we'll get to that in a little bit here. Next up, a new track by Aleodiology. No, it's not a 15-minute track. This one's a little bit shorter here. As you can see, 2 minutes and 26 seconds. And this one is called Future Look. That is Future Look Back by Aleodiology. Aleodiology is my stuff where it's a little bit more challenging, I guess. I don't know how else to put it. And sometimes I'll take some of those tracks that I make for that sort of thing, and I'll throw them in with like the Desperation of Drowning Men, put rain sounds over that. So it's like an assembly line, sort of. I guess I don't know, but the Aleodiology stuff is again, it's a little bit more sketch oriented. It's something that I like to a certain extent. I do want to release it, and but I throw it on under its own name. And what is Aleodiology? Look it up. Look it up. I don't know, what did I release? Like 5 albums under that name last year. I was cranking it out. I didn't have anything else to do, right? I'm making all this. I'm making way too much electronic music. And it's like I wasn't going to release all this stuff under Mark Rushton or whatever. And so I created a whole new band, Aleodiology. And it's sort of like, it's out there stuff, man. Next up, Hot Mic, which I released something under a few years ago. And then I resurrected the name. Unfortunately, since the time that I released a field recording under Hot Mic, a bunch of other people have showed up with the Hot Mic name. So I may not be releasing too many things under that in the future. I've got another name that I'd like to use. We'll see about it. I know I have too many band names as it is. Hot Mic is pretty good though. You think about it, because I do the field recordings all the time, and so the microphone's always on, and when the microphone's always on, that's a hot mic. And so up next, corn processing plant near the river. This was recorded a couple of months ago. I had to wait. I think I might have. I think I did the last podcast. I will just play a little bit here on this, because I think I did play it in the last podcast here, but but this is about the playlist here. So let's a little bit of industrial hum here. Yes, corn processing plant near the river. That is corn processing plant near the river by Hot Mic. It does get super exciting about halfway through. A truck drives by, and then it does it. If you're listening on good headphones, you do hear a lot. You do pick up more stuff, particularly as you listen to it multiple times. I really like that deep listening aspect of field recordings. Like, you think you hear something the first time, and then you go back through and you listen to it again, and with headphones, with good headphones or whatever. I pick up a lot more. I've always loved making field recordings. I have made them over the years. I have not released too many of them. So I got a lot of stuff out there. I have to use those in my sort of artier stuff when I make for the Disquiet Hunto. I have a bunch out there. But anyway, there's a few more tracks that will be released in the coming weeks by Hot Mic. Although I like I said, who knows? I may have 2 monikers for field recordings because I've got so many of them. I know. Yeah. I got like a series of elevators coming up, being in the elevator and recording the elevator. Oh, that sounds super. No, actually it's, the deep listening aspect of that and everything that's going on. I don't know. That stuff is kind of interesting to me, as long as I can hear here. Next up, Calmer Feeling, Downtown Buddhas. This is a good one. That is Drifting Buddhas by Calmer Feeling from the album Downtown Buddhas. And that's a really great track. That's the heavily processed Buddha machines from the that were in the iPad, the first iPad, which I still have, and the app that was in there, and kind of manipulating them, running them through various effects and stuff like that. That's a really Drifting Buddhist is that just fantastic. Did a lot of experimenting with that, and I'll continue to do more experimenting with that in the future as well. After this is Snow Covered Car in the Parking Ramp by Ambient Rushton. This is a track that I made with John Harnish at his home studio. Let's hear it. That is Snow Covered Car in the Parking Ramp by Ambient Rushton. It's me and John Harnish. John's on bass guitar. I'm on lap steel and with effects boxes run out from there. And I love that combination of lap steel and effects boxes. Just the playing with that. And we'll get to a little bit more of that here with vibrating wires. But next up is a Psychedelic Screw by Cannabis Unanimous. What a dumb name for a band. Jeez. But I had like all these tracks out there and they were all like just like slowed down. Some of them have like voices on them, like voicemail messages and stuff like that. They're all slowed down like that. So we like, I was trying to come up with the, it was supposed to be like a homage to DJ Screw, the chopped and screwed dude down in Houston. I think he died about 20 years ago. Just amazing stuff. It's we're not chopped, we're just screwed. We're terrible, but we slowed it down and we throw a little beat on there, throw a little loping beat on there. It's kind of like the Rushton, but just the slower, and it's a little more sketchy. It's not quite hip hop. But let's have a listen. That's a Psychedelic Screw by Cannabis Unanimous. What is that? What is that horrible noise in the background? Those are birds that have been pitch shifted down. I don't know how many octaves, a bunch, and get the beat, get the sounds in the background. This is a little bit more simpler track compared to some of the stuff that I plan to release in the near future. Some of the stuff I got coming up for Cannabis Unanimous is just dumb fun, right? So that's the dumb fun aspect of it there. I was like, what a dumb name for a band. But anyway, there's another one, Psychedelic Screw. Now we're back to more of my heavily processed lap steel in vibrating wires here. And so let's listen to a little bit of The Long Drive Out. That's The Long Drive Out by Vibrating Wires from the second Vibrating Wires album. And I got more stuff coming up on that. It's going to be sort of the shorter tracks and then sort of a elongation of that sort of stuff, sort of a spreading out of that sound, trying to make it more desolate and even less obvious. I love playing that lap steel. I can't play it. I can play it. I'm not quite sure like the notes and all that sort of stuff. I just like the sounds that I get out of it. It's fun and experimental. I have fun with it. I'm having fun with it. And so I make these little sort of artistic avant-garde things, ambient things, and put them out there because why not, right? I could be doing worse things, yeah. And speaking of worse, not worse things, but calculated things here. The last track is by Meditative Drift, and it's called Historical Christmas Toys. And so around Christmas time, when I was on break, I made essentially 3 albums worth of what I call Christmas soundscapes, but which I've also rebranded as Winter Soundscapes. And it's kind of like I said, it's kind of sort of a calculated type of release. So it's sort of music that is somewhat inspired by Christmas time and also winter time. And so I've gone ahead and sort of packaged the album as Christmas soundscapes, and then created playlists off of that. And then I've also taken some of the tracks and thrown them into playlists called Winter Soundscapes. It's sort of an experiment here. And so around Christmas time, well, it was after Christmas time when I released them, but during the winter time, on some of the platforms where I have these playlists, they did good under the winter soundscape, winter ambient sort of label. And all the Christmas stuff, it gets a few listens every now and then. But, by Christmas 2021, it should be doing pretty good. Anyway, so I'll talk a little bit more after this here, but let's play a little bit of Historical Christmas Toys. That is Historical Christmas Toys by Meditative Drift. That's a little bit more of the, I would say, a little bit more of the weirder, avant-garde side of that. Most of this stuff is pretty, it's like the old tinsel Christmas tree electronica sort of stuff. And it's pretty conventional. That one's a little weirder, I guess. I don't know, sort of robotic and, like a historical Christmas toy. And so anyway, threw that out there. It's not that long of a track anyway. So there you go. That's the Mark Rushton podcast rotating top 10. Hopefully within a month, I will have all brand new tracks for this particular playlist. You can go out there and follow this playlist if you want. I'll be updating it when new tracks come out, which is often. I've scheduled a lot of things here for the next couple of months in ahead of time. New releases, which I will mention in my video programs that I do. But as far as the podcast is concerned, usually I only do one podcast a month. This is a really unusual month. I've done 2 podcasts for some reason. Anyway, so that's it. That's Ambient Rushton's rotating top 10 for March 2021. Link to the podcast is link to the playlist is in the description, and you can link to my website, markrushton.com out there. And you can also follow me on Spotify as well under just my name. Or if you want to go and follow all these artist names out here, go right ahead. Go right ahead. Be my guest. All right. That's it for the day. And we'll talk to you later.